When I checked my phone after work today, I was hopefully gonna sit down, have a look at the Rugby Championship results, and sort the videos for them. But instead, I read something that made my heart sink. Obviously, we knew that Stuart Hogg was retiring after the World Cup, but I think every single one of us hoped we'd have one last dance, one last chance for him to do something with Scotland. We all know that he's collected many personal achievements, but he's never actually won a major trophy with Scotland. And he's played 100 games for them. So, the player that kicked it all off, I would argue, was the start of this golden generation that unfortunately is slowly dying out. I know there's new, young, good talent, but the golden generation of about 5 years or so ago, the one that put 50 points in Australia, ran New Zealand close, which is a match I'll look at in a little bit, but obviously ended the droughts against Ireland, Wales and England. That's all a memory. Now, we'll all remember Hogg as a very special player, and we'll all remember him for several different things. Whether it's his ability to create a try out of nothing.
Was collected by Stuart Hogg, who spotted the gap and charged between Rory Best and Mike Ross before racing away for one of the best individual tries of the championship. A brilliant score from
or even his world-class assists to tries.
Wonderful try. As Scotland pressed, Stuart Hogg brilliantly flicked Laidlaw's pass to Tim Visser on the wing, and the number 11 was over for a tremendous 5 points.
His massive boot and his ability to kick 80 odd metres with one hefty whip.
Clearance kick comes to Maitland. Yes, he'll go quickly. Hogg is with him. We've seen this before from Hogg. It's the drop goal!
Or his impeccable last-minute timing, last-minute tackles. Those are some of the things that he will go down in history for as being one of the best, probably of all time at, especially in Scotland terms anyway. Maybe not in world terms, but one of the best of his generation, definitely. I mentioned Hogg hadn't won too much. He was slightly more successful at club level. He won the Pro 12 with Glasgow in the 2014-15 season, the Gallagher Premiership with Exeter in the 2019-20 season, and the European Champions Cup with Exeter also in the 2019-2020 season. But that's where his team accolades end, and the rest are all personal accolades. He was named RBS Six Nations Player of the Championship in 2016 and 17. He's been on World Rugby Team of the Year several times. He's been nominated for World Rugby Player of the Year several times, which I know he didn't win, but he was still in the ring. Hoggie went on 3 separate Lions tours, 2013, 2017 and 2021. Now, unfortunately, it took until 2021 from Tax to get a test in one of the actual matches, despite playing well in some of the side mat and some of the pre-test fixtures against some of the clubs. I think it was injury that ruled him out. But in 2020, he got his chance against the Springboks, and I'd say he played pretty well. He captained Scotland for a couple of years. Was first named captain during the 2020 Six Nations. The one that saw Scotland. What was good about the That was one that Scotland beat, Italy, France and Wales, I believe. So, they won some good games under him. He obviously captained Scotland to that first win at Twickenham in 46 years, I want to say. And that's not 100% honest. But he then, after that, he went on to captain Scotland for the back-to-back win, the first ever back-to-back win against England in over 40 years. He didn't score in either of them, did he? No, he didn't. What other? Hogg scored 27 tries for Scotland and still is the highest try scorer for the country. Now, 27 might not seem a lot for some teams. I know teams like South Africa and New Zealand have multiple players, and I think it's probably 50 plus. But Hogg, for Scotland, that's a massive, massive achievement for them. Which hopefully stands for a while, although I will say that there is a few players who are starting in who look like they may go on and break that record, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it's one of the records that Hogg wouldn't mind being broken, but it's always a good thing to keep. Hogg leaves Scotland after just gaining his 100th cap in his last match against Ireland. Now, back then, we didn't know he was retiring. He announced his intention to retire after World Cup on the 27th of March. But at that point, we all thought, we'll still have the World Cup as one last dance. But unfortunately, injury says otherwise. Injury states that Hogg would not be fit for the World Cup, basically. So he's calling it on his career now, which is a smart move, I think. It's unfortunate. He's only 31, which is on the older end for a rugby player, but they can go older. I thought he had one more cycle in him, but obviously injuries and stuff made him feel like he didn't, which I think he's doing the best thing for himself. The last thing he needs is to have a possible life-changing injury. If he feels his body's slowing down, stop. And I'd say that to anyone. If you feel like your body's slowing down, stop. So he's made a brave call there. Not brave, a smart call. It was a very brave call. So yeah. So from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure from the bottom of all of your guys' hearts, thanks for everything, Hoggie. If it's for what was, what could have been, and what's to come, I will finish on that. If you enjoyed, subscribe, and I'll see you later. I'm going to play one last clip that almost had Hogg immortalised, if he's not already, immortalised in the history of Scottish rugby. If you're Scottish, you'll know what's coming. If not, yeah, I'll see you next time.
Is there one more effort carried on by Batty? Getting closer, but still so far away. Wide it goes now. And Hugh Jones into Hogg. And Stuart Hogg is